I've had an unusual amount of subscribers leave comments asking me about different side hustles, businesses that they can start in order to become business owners instead of independent contractors. Businesses that can be scaled up where you own all of the profits and control the business yourself. So I'm going to be starting a new segment where I try out some of these businesses, and today we're going to talk about 4 of those that you can start, 2 of which I'm going to be trying. Before we get into that, let's talk about one of the tools that I use and that any business owner, as a small business owner, can use that's going to be one of the most valuable things that you can have when you're starting your business. So essentially, one of the biggest expenses you're going to have when you're starting a small business and running that business is payments to contractors and vendors. Now, oftentimes what you're going to want to do is pay those contractors with a credit card, and that allows you to kind of float the payment and not actually have to pay that bill for another month when that credit card bill is due. But not all vendors and contractors are going to accept credit cards. That's one thing you're going to find out as soon as you start a small business. So Melio is going to bridge that gap, and with Melio payments, you can pay with a business credit card even if your vendors and contractors do not accept credit card, and you can float that for up to 45 days, which is essentially increasing your cash flow as a small business owner. And there are quite a other cool features with Melio payments. One of the reasons why I like using it so much is that it easily syncs up with QuickBooks Self-Employed, which allows you to do all of the accounting work on the back end almost automatically. And you can also schedule out payments in the future by date within the Melio app. So this makes sure that all of your vendors and contractors are getting paid on time, they're happy, and you're not actually having to pay the bill or foot the bill for that payment for up to 45 days out into the future. Now, if you want to use your business credit card or your personal credit card when you're making these payments on the Melio payment app, that actually makes you eligible to earn those traditional rewards that you would earn through the credit card. There is a 2.9% processing fee for using a credit card on the Melio system, which is pretty standard for just about any other sort of payment gateway out there. Now, in future videos, I'm going to show you guys exactly how I use this payment system to pay my vendors and contractors as I embark on 2 of these small business journeys. Let's go ahead and hop into these, and I'm going to show you guys exactly what you need to know up front to get started. So the very first business that we're going to talk about starting is going to be one that requires very little upfront investment, and it is a power washing business. What I recommend doing and what I plan on doing when I approach this myself is actually just buying a standard gas power washer, pressure washer. You can get these used on Facebook Marketplace for like $200-300. You want to get a good brand, something that's reliable, something that has at least like 3,000 PSI so that it's going to do the job. And you're going to want to start out just working on driveways, on concrete patios, stuff like that, stuff that's simple where there's, not a lot of risk involved. And then, later down the road, as you buy more equipment and learn the trade better, you can start working on power washing roofs, which is very popular, especially in certain regions and other parts of the house as well. The reason why I don't recommend starting off with these parts of the house is because there are actually areas where they're a little bit more risky, where if you're using cleaning supplies with that power washer, you could potentially mess up the paint in certain scenarios. So this is going to be later down the road once you've learned the trade a little bit better. But to get started, what you're really going to focus on is just growing out that clientele and growing your brand. And one of the best things that I like to do to get started with a small business is download the Nextdoor app, register with Nextdoor for your neighborhood, and advertise on there and find what people are looking for. Find if people are looking for power washing in your neighborhood, and just put your name in. You're going to have to be quick. You're going to have to be one of the first people to respond. So you're going to want to check this every night or 2 for new leads. And this is going to be the best free way to generate leads for your business. And then once you've gotten those in and you can get some word of mouth referrals, then you're going to look at setting up your website using something like Bluehost for a few bucks a month, getting a free WordPress website out, and then reinvesting some profits into Google ads, into Facebook ads, and into actually driving traffic to your website. But that's later down the road. For this initial startup, we're literally just buying a simple power washer, and we're getting some word of mouth referrals through the Nextdoor app. And we're going to be charging $50, $60 an hour to get started, and then we're going to be increasing those prices as we learn the trade and really master this trade later down the road. So as I mentioned, this is one that I'm going to be starting up myself. I already have a power washer lined up that I'm going to go check out. It's about 20 minutes away from me, and I'm going to go find that over the next few days. It's at under $200. It's at the 3,000 PSI, and I'm registering with the Nextdoor app. I just moved, so I have to re-register in my new neighborhood, and I'm going to start getting leads through that app, and I will provide a later update on how that's going. But let's hop in to the next small business idea that you can go ahead and get started with this summer. So the second business idea on this list that we can get started with this summer is a moving business. Now, this one actually is going to require a little bit more work up front, but there are still ways to really grow this massively. And if you put in that upfront work, then the payout later is going to be immensely better, just because of how scalable this business model is. And I'm going to refer another video to you guys to watch. I'm going to leave it down below, and it's essentially this guy who scaled up his moving business to $1 million in revenue a year, and he's got a pretty catchy name. So he branded himself as Skinny Wimp Moving Company, and it's really catchy because a lot of other companies out there were, you know, stating the obvious, or like Strong Guy Moving Company, Big Guy Moving Company, stuff like that. And this guy kind of went for the funnier version of that, which attracts a lot of eyeballs. People, you know, see that name on his shirt, on his truck, and he just generates a lot of business because of that. Now, the name is just one thing that you need to know before you get started here. You're also going to want to have a website. You're going to want to have a domain name. You're going to want to have the proper licensing and insurance, because this is one of those things where you can damage someone's goods, and then you want to be able to you know, take the appropriate measures if that happens. And you're also going to want to supplement this with basic moving apps. There's a lot out there that you can use to generate income up front while you're growing this business, and you can use that to also learn the tools of the trade better, how to use a dolly, how to use straps, all of those basic things that you're going to need when you're moving. Getting a little bit of experience from some of these moving apps, either through like movinghelp.com or Dolly, is going to be a great way to get that experience that you need to branch out and grow that business and start bringing in your own customers to sell your own services. And then from there, you can really scale up, hire contractors to do work underneath you, and then just manage that business from a top level. As far as generating the leads for the business, I actually recommend starting out the same, using Nextdoor to just get a little bit of that you know, general word of mouth going. And then once you've actually gotten some customers in the door, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to scale up with Facebook ads and Google ads, where you actually put a little bit more money in, and then that brings you the customers. So a lot of times people go straight to the gig economy and never leave it because it's so much easier. They handle the marketing for you. You know, they do the Facebook ads, they do a lot of the insurance, a lot of that stuff that needs to get taken care of. So all you focus on is the moving, and they do take a cut for that, right? So they're taking a minimum of 20% out when you're doing that work. So you know, you're really paying for that simplicity and that ease of the job, and you're also not able to scale and hire out people underneath you. But it's a good place to start and learn the ropes before you dive into actually managing this business. Okay, so the next one here that I'm actually probably most excited about right now, because it kind of requires the lowest barrier of entry to get started. And anyone can do it, but it's going to take a lot of hustle and grind before it actually pays off. Once you get a flow going down, this is extremely scalable. It's a massively scalable business, and this is wholesaling houses. It's something that's caught on, you'll probably see it on TikTok, on YouTube a little bit, and essentially you're going to see these guys that you know, look like regular people, and that's because they are. You know, these people, like, there's no barriers to entry. You don't have to be a real estate agent. You don't have to have a high school diploma. You don't have to have a college degree. You just have to have a little bit of knack to get started, and you can start charging a fee to wholesale houses. So the way it works is you're going to find off-market houses. That means they're not listed on Zillow, they're not listed on Realtor.com or Redfin. You're going to be finding these deals before they hit the market, and then you're going to be signing these people that want to sell their house to a contract and selling that contract to someone else. And you're going to charge $5,000, $10,000, maybe even $20,000, $30,000 for that contract, because you're getting the house at such a low price under market value. So let's talk about the basic fundamentals of how this works, because a lot of people think, well, if I'm offering cash for a house, what happens if no one wants to buy it from me? And am I stuck with that house now? Do I have to buy this fixer-upper at the estate sale? And am I going to go bankrupt here? So how this works is that your contract that you're purchasing the house under cash is going to have an inspection clause. All contracts have this, and essentially an inspection clause is just a clause that allows you to get out of a real estate contract within that given time frame. So anything can be wrong with the house and you can say, I don't want it. It can be the carpets smells funny, or there's a stain on the carpet and you can say, I no longer want the deal. This came up in the inspection and I didn't know it was there, and now I don't want this house. So that gives you about let's say you put a 2-week inspection clause in there. That gives you 2 weeks to find a buyer, and you are just selling this cash contract to them, and then they are paying cash, whether it be through a hard money loan or they have cash of their own. Then they are buying this house in cash, and you're just getting that finder's fee of whatever you set it at. And you can charge a higher finder's fee if you're finding a better deal. So here's where this gets really interesting. There's actually layers to this business that can be scaled up. So not only are you finding these wholesale units to sell and these contracts to sell to buyers, but once you find a way to really generate leads and to find these off-market houses, you can actually sell that system to other investors. So there's a guy that I talked to in Seattle before I moved, and not only were they doing these off-market flips, but they had essentially outsourced and created their own call center to generate leads, and they had a system that actually found a ton of leads in the greater Seattle and in the Washington area. And there were real estate investors willing to pay $10,000 a month just for access to their call center. So essentially, these investors had bought in a couple contracts from them and realized that paying $10,000 a month to use their call center was going to generate more leads than $10,000 a month cost. So once they created this call center, not only are they making money on the wholesaling business, but they're also making like 70 to 100K a month just from the call center alone on the side. And this is a business that's probably going to be around for a while. There's certain states that have created laws against it, but it hasn't really massively spread. And there's a massive crunch in housing in the US that's going to be here for a while. Like, supply and demand are not in balance right now, and that problem's not going away anytime soon. So neither is wholesaling. What I will say is, please be ethical and have a high moral standard. There are people out there giving this a bad name because they're doing a lot of essentially immoral tactics to lower prices and get better deals for their investors. Do not go that route, but do have fun with it and do find valuable offers where you can sell back to investors and generate a lot of monthly profit. So the last small business that we're going to look at starting up this summer is pool cleaning, and this can actually pay out $50 to $60 an hour. Even better if you know how to fix the mechanisms that go into a pool, like the pump and the filters. That's something that you're going to want to learn about. With anything, if before you start it, you're going to need to watch at least 5 to 6 hours of YouTube videos of people that have already started their businesses and grown them and scaled them, and just to learn the daily how-to before you get into it. Pool cleaning seems like, with power washing, like it'd be one of the easier ones to start, but there's definitely a lot of nuances and a lot of technicalities that you're going to want to know. You're going to want to know how to identify if a pool has a leak, what to do when a filter is broken, all of these things, and being able to repair them is going to raise that hourly wage significantly. There's a lot of other established companies out there doing pool cleaning, so getting this background knowledge and confidently presenting this to potential leads is going to make it that much easier for you to compete with these other businesses. It's not hyper competitive, and using the Nextdoor app, like I mentioned, introducing yourself, saying, hey, I'm a college student or I'm a local here and I'm looking to start up this business. I love pools. I've been learning about them and I love cleaning pools and I know a ton, like blah, blah, blah. Introducing yourself, being friendly, maybe a little bit humorous or whatever it is. Getting those leads in is going to get you in the door, right? Like, you're not going to immediately start competing with these websites that already have like Google My Business pages and a ton of reviews and credibility. You're not going to, create your website and immediately start competing with them via Facebook ads. You're going to just try and get some word of mouth through the Nextdoor app, and then you're going to reinvest that back into the business. Now, if you're located in a southern state like California, Texas, Arizona, or Florida, this could potentially be a year-round business, but if you're in one of those colder northern states, it's going to be more of a summer gig, and you're going to have to find other work to supplement during the rest of the year, which if you're a normal follower of this channel, that should not be hard to do because there's a ton of other gigs out there that you can easily start working with today to fill in those downtimes. But with the base of like $50, $60 an hour, pool cleaning is going to be a very good side hustle that's potentially scalable to be a full-time thing if you take it seriously, learn the trade, and generate enough customer referrals, invest that money back into Facebook ads, and really start carving out a name and brand for your business. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel for more updates. I'm gonna let you guys know how it goes for me as I look to scale up power washing and also get into a little bit of wholesaling on the side here. I'll let you guys know everything that goes into that. Leave a comment down below if you want to hear more, and also stay tuned for more Amazon warehouse work updates because I'm getting started in about a week or so and I'm ready to start grinding there as well.